Hey, welcome back to the channel. Let's try and capture Slayer's Seasons in the Abyss guitar tone using the Marshall DSL20H. So being a huge Slayer fan, I wanted to try and authentically capture this as best I could. So I went out and bought an MXR 10-band EQ and set it up the same as Kerry and Jeff did, as you can see in the photos. And as I was fiddling around trying to find the tone and work with it and everything, I worked out that this amp just has the exact Slayer tone built into it. This is the most Slayer amp I've ever played through. So my guitar chain for this is really just my guitar with AMG 8181 pickups, plugged straight into the front end of the Marshall DSL. There's no noise gate, there's no EQ, there's no anything. I've not got any post-processing whatsoever. There's no compression or anything going into Logic. What you hear is the raw signal. So the only thing I did in Logic was pre-record a right-hand rhythm track just to go along with this one, and I could pan them both about 65% each way just to give that full Slayer tone that you hear on the albums. Everything else is coming through the amp, the reverb and everything. So having a look at the amp settings that I've used for the video, you can see I've actually added some reverb to this for the rhythm tracks. I just wanted to try and use the amp to its full and just show you what it sounds like trying to replicate such a tone. And this is not a spring reverb, it's actually an inbuilt digital reverb, but I really like it. It's a good sounding reverb. I would have liked to have turned it up more for things like Dead Skin Mask at that intro just to really give it that ambience, and you got to turn it back for other fast tracks like Hello Point. But just as a general, I've just left it there for all those tracks and I haven't changed the settings in any of those songs. Something I like doing with the DSL is actually using the presence and treble to complement each other. I don't just leave the presence set and use the treble. I try and find a real nice balance point between the two and find the best of both worlds with them, get the right amount of top end and the right amount of bite. As far as low end, this amp really does have a lot of beef to it in these low volumes. And I tend to wind the bass and the density just down a little bit just to make it sound more like an authentic recording. So the volume for this is set to about 2.5. So understanding the volume and how that actually plays into work out your tone with this amp, since having the ISO cab, I've really been able to play with the volume and just see how the amp responds in a power tube sense to create the tones. The amp opens up a little bit, but the actual punch of the power tubes is lost. So for metal and things, it suits it at these lower volumes for some reason. And as far as the gain goes, it's just moderate, just past 5 there. For Kerry speakers, he always had the G12K 100 watt Celestions, which are really bass heavy and have a high thump to them. And I don't have those speakers at all yet. So the closest I've got is the V30 that's in the Mezzo Recto, and I find it does a really great job at it. And I'm using the ISO cab on the outside just to keep things down so it keeps the sound in and I'm not bothering anyone. Anyone interested in the ISO cab, I showed it off last week in capturing Kill 'Em All tone and just showed you how I made it. And it's there just to keep the sound in so I'm not bothering anyone else around, keeping the neighbours happy, I guess. So Seasons in the Abyss is my favourite Slayer album of all time. It just seems to have everything that I love in a metal record, and it had a great sound, it had a great production, and the solos were just really good. They were top notch on this album. So many favourite riffs on this album, this is one of them. So other than that, I hope you really enjoyed this week's capturing of Slayer's tone of Seasons in the Abyss. It's such a monster of an album. Give it a go. You'll have a lot of fun playing it, I promise. And take care, everyone. I'll see you next week. Thank you.